I'll try to explain where the project fingerprints comes from and how we use project fingerprint column in our system in Gitlab. Project fingerprint column is taking place in vulnerability feedback table, and it's also taking place in vulnerability occurrences table. And the purpose of project fingerprint is just to make a relationship between vulnerability feedback and vulnerability occurrences. You might wonder why we don't have this relationship in database as a foreign key. The reason we don't have this relationship in the database as a foreign key is that excuse me, we don't persist all of the occurrences that we found in the database. That's why we need some kind of logical relationship so that we can associate between the vulnerability occurrences and vulnerability feedback. So I'll give you an example. When you create an MR in Gitlab, you can see the vulnerabilities in the MR widget, and these vulnerabilities that is reported are not yet saved in the database. It will be saved once we merge this branch into default branch. But if we put a feedback to them, there will be persisted. And if we come back to this page, we want to see the feedback that we persist in the in the MR widget. So we need a relationship between them, and this is how we make this relationship with the project fingerprint. So for this vulnerability, it is dismissed, and the way we know that this vulnerability is dismissed is that because they have the same project fingerprint. It is the same for the security dashboard, but there is only one difference, is that the vulnerabilities that are listed here, they are coming from the database, but they are still associated with vulnerability feedback using project fingerprint. So now in this part, I'm gonna show how the association is done in the backend part. So when we click a vulnerability here, and we want to create a vulnerability feedback, if I just open the network tab here and will say I want to dismiss this vulnerability, so we send some data to the backend and to create vulnerability feedback, and the most important data that we send in terms of making association here is the feedback. So here this entity is in the database, but this is not yet in the database. However, if I just refresh this page and let the vulnerabilities again load from the cache, you'll see that this is persisted. The feedback is persisted, so that this is strike through. And it's the same similar logic in the dashboard as well. I'm just gonna show the code. So for the dashboard part, this method here makes a join with the feedback, vulnerability feedback, and this is the relationship, again the fingerprint. We make a join for the dashboard because, as I said before, the vulnerabilities that are coming to dashboard are persisted, because these are the vulnerabilities that are in the default branch. For the MR widget is different. So we take the vulnerability feedback from the database, group by project fingerprint, and try to match them by occurrences project fingerprint. Occurrences that are just found by analyzers, reported by analyzers. So this is how we do the relationship. between the vulnerability occurrences and vulnerability feedback. And currently we're trying to change this relationship, so we're trying to use a different more accurate key, and this is the issue number, and I will be putting more details into this issue so that you can check it. Thank you.